Hello, my name's James Pikeway, and this is the Nightline Podcast. Have a comment, question, or query? Send me an email, nightline@dubai1038.ae. Want to hear more from Nightline, or maybe browse some of the other podcasts on Dubai Eye? Please go to www.dubai1038.com and look for the podcasts and blogs. But for now, this is Nightline. Enjoy the program. We are talking cars for the next hour, and okay, right off the bat, you're out in the sand.
I am out in the sand. And
Now, here's the irony. Hold on. So you went and did the Gulf News, what do they call it?
the fun drive.
There we go.
I call it the Mad Max adventure into the unknown.
You don't like sand.
Correction, I like driving in the sand. I'm just not a big, huge, giant fan of getting sand in my shoes, my face, my eyebrows, or any other part of my anatomy.
But this was in the open desert, in the dunes.
I have to confess, this is one of the most acquired tastes in the history of acquired tastes, is the fun drive. So for people who are tuning in, I'm not quite sure what I'm on about. The fun drive is an annual expedition off-road.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that separates
Marshaled, guided, but there are
marshaled and guided, but it is
hundreds
immense.
of your friends,
850 cars.
of which
And
850 have no idea what they're doing.
Oh, at least a good 600 to 700. And of these people, most of them are quite fresh and new to off-roading.
Yes.
And for the last couple of years, the drive has been to Liwa.
Nice.
Now, Liwa is known colloquially in Arabic as the mother of all deserts.
Yes.
And it is the mother of all deserts. It's on the Saudi border. It is intense. It's difficult. It's tricky. And that's naturally where you want to take somebody for their first ever trip into the sand.
I saw people coming back from this fun drive, and I always laugh because
missing bumpers.
Yeah, pretty much. Missing panels on things, all the little hanging parts strapped on.
Absolute carnage.
Yeah.
That's the only way to describe it. I mean, it's kind of a badge of honor. Now, the fun drive has been going on, I think this is the 30th year.
Wow.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Gulf News. But 30 years of doing it. It started off as a really small event, and now it's a huge overnighter event. So that basically means you drive there, you drive the course, and then you camp the night and come back in the morning.
There you go.
Of course, I tend to do things the luxury way, so I had hotel stays booked, of course.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't camp.
Did you stay at
But you
Liwa
camp.
Hotel, or did you go to the other one?
The Liwa Hotel is very nice. I stayed there last year. For
Yeah.
some bizarre reason, they upgraded us to the presidential suite. This year, I stayed at the Tilal Liwa,
Wow, okay.
which was a really nice resort. I was
Yeah.
shocked how nice it was. But
Yeah.
I'm getting away from car stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So, the highlight of the fun drive.
which one? I mean, it's when the bits when you there's a section called the roller coaster, and that's when you're just coming out these dunes and they drop down these huge pitches and turns. It is like being in a roller coaster. And then you see the sun setting in the background across the open plains. The thing I want to convey about Liwa, as opposed to any other desert experience you might have, even in Dubai or otherwise, is the vastness of it.
Yeah.
You can practically see the curvature of the earth. It is so immense. And the sky and the weather was absolutely perfect. I can't recommend enough going to Liwa. I will, however, say that there's a reason why I'd go in events like the Fun Drive. Because it's safe.
Yeah.
Liwa is also extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
As an area, the dunes are the highest in the country. You might have seen them in a little film people saw called Force Awakens. Those were all the dunes of Liwa in the beginning of the film. And they are immense 20, 25-story dunes. You don't want to come down that if you don't know what you're doing. But with the Gulf News and the Fun Drive team, it was pretty safe.
And you did this all in your Ram, so...
Well, the reason I bought the Ram was to see if it could do Liwa. Because people who shall remain nameless have said to me that trucks don't work in the desert. Full sizes, I'm not talking about like a Hilux or something like that, which makes sense. And I said, well, yeah, we'll see. And we saw. And it was fine. I think the only damage I had to report was, I think I bent a lower skid plate or something, which is no big deal.
Okay.
And the alignment was very slightly off from one of the many jumps. I have to confess, though we always recommend people drive in a sensible manner in the desert, there may have been some irresponsible driving.
Okay.
Because it's a huge flat plain and you can just go as fast as you feel safe to do so. But it is an intense experience. I mean, you have hundreds of cars surrounding you. There are people stuck and you have to carve your way around them. There are people backing over dunes. There are people stopping to get out and look, take videos, kids digging in the sand. All of this craziness. And you are sort of slapped down in the middle. A lot of people, it's intense and it's too much. And Shazad, for example, says he'll never do it again. Because
Shahzad did it.
He did it many
in
years
the CRV?
ago. He might have been run over.
Did he do it in the CRV?
He did it in the CRV, which I say was a mistake because the CRV is not the ideal desert car.
I have even more respect for the CRV that sits in the parking lot when he's
That's
not.
a darn stupid thing to do. Why would you take a family crossover?
That's how good it is.
Well, sort of. But I should point out that the CRV is on a very short list of cars that are banned from the fun drive now. I don't know if it's Shahzad's fault.
Probably.
The CRV is specifically banned.
Blue ones?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe. All CRVs are banned. All Volvos, basically. A couple of other cars as well. But generally, it's a sort of crossovers.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take anything on there. I have one of the most modified Rams in Dubai. And the way the course is structured, again, I recommend people do it. It's not cheap, but it's worth doing. The way it's structured is that the first 4 stages or checkpoints are basically really straightforward. So people who have never been to Sambor, they go, they play around, they get stuck, they have some fun, fine. But it gets progressively harder through the day. Till you get to the last stage, they cut you off. If you don't make it to the stage cut-off time, you just get sent to the final camp at Tal Marib, which is a beautiful, beautiful dune. But the last stage is really difficult because that's structured more for Jeeps and FJs, nimble cars. Not a whopping great full-size truck made in Mexico that was never designed for the desert or has no preparation of any kind for the desert. But I made it. I made it. Just about, but I made it. It's a trip, man. You have to try Liwa, son. Have you ever been to Liwa?
Yeah, I have been to Liwa.
What did you think of it?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
It is absolutely serene and gorgeous and epic in every sense of the word. But it is a long drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we want to hear from you. By the way, if you're wondering what you've tuned into as we're waxing and waning about Liwa and the fun drive, this is Cartalk. Imtishan's here from Motoring Middle East. You got questions about your ride? This is the place to send it through to. And Imtishan's here. I mean, this guy is the man who took the full-size pickup into the Liwa Dunes.
Yeah, you might call it a certain amount of insanity.
Yeah, so, I mean, if there's someone who can talk about cars, it's you.
I'll tell you what they have done. People can't drive in the desert.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Not a clue.
Yeah, no, none. Let's talk really quickly about the car I was driving over the weekend, the Chevy Spark.
What is the Chevy Spark?
Yeah, it's like this tiny 1.5 liter.
So it's a subcompact.
Yeah, it's absolutely subcompact.
Mazda 2 rival?
No. Look,
that is a down voice.
I wanted to like it. I did. 1.5 liter engine. You open up.
Perky.
It is very perky. You open up the doors. You look in. It's got all the toys. It even had backup sensors. No camera, but it had the backup sensors. I thought, man, this is a cool car.
It's a small car. You don't need backup sensors. You just turn your arm around and you'll be in the back.
Exactly. This is the thing. It is a small car, and you summed it up because you were asking me what did I like about it, and I said this is I like the Bluetooth Connect system that they've got. Oh, it's got all that stuff. It's nice. It's got a decent radio. It all works.
I'm not seeing the problem.
The seats, I love the fabric on the seats. The seats were fun. It's cramped. The car is cramped.
Oh, that could be a deal killer.
And to me, this was the problem. No matter what I did, my right leg when I was on the gas pedal was always hitting the console. And the side part, and I'm not the biggest guy, so I thought, so then I got the back seat.
Or maybe you are just more amply proportioned than you think.
It's a 5-seater. I don't know. You wouldn't be putting me in the back seat for a long time, but I did drive in the back seat for a little bit, and it was comfortable enough. The pitch needed to be back a little bit, but it's a small car, so you don't have.
So try before you buy.
Yeah, definitely.
If the seat fitted you, what would your opinion change?
If it's just me and a passenger, yes. I might think about this as a runaround. Would I go with this over, say, a Figo? No.
Interesting, isn't it? Because immediately people tend to latch on to the last good experience they had at a similar weight class.
At this point,
If you didn't have the Figo, would you think of any other car in the class? What pops into your head?
Well, probably Hyundai.
Which Hyundai? The i10 or IO?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly, the i10.
The i10, i20. Yeah. My sister actually just rented one of those right now. Quite a nice little car. Pretty more spacious than you think. We have an Icelandic friend who has a Yaris, which he uses as the company beater.
Okay.
This thing has like 200 or 20,000 kilometers or whatever. Basically, they bought it because the car they were using, which was his FJ Cruiser, the mileage, he described it as a clock. It just kept going because they do so much running around. So he's like, okay, stop. We've got to get a car that we can just pile on mileage and we don't care about. So they bought this Yaris. And he is a big guy. He's like Shahzad tall, but big wide.
Okay.
Double wide, as we like to say. I mean, they feed them something funny in Iceland. And you know what? He fits in it just fine and behind himself.
Wow.
Hey, this is like a couple generations back, but I'm very impressed with the carrying capacity.
And those are affordable cars too. Like the Yaris is...
Yes, hatchback I'm talking about, not the sedan.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a couple generations back. The new one isn't dynamically as interesting as that one, but, you know, I have a soft spot for these simple, efficient, basic cars. They're not easy to execute. There's no money in making affordable transport.
Well, that's it. The Spark should work. It's got all the things that could make it work, and it just felt it didn't hit the mark. And I wanted to love it. I mean, I really do love the economy subcompact vehicles. They're my passion, but this one just didn't, it didn't generate anything for me.
It's tough, man. It's tough to design a car at that price, but especially in a market like Dubai where we're all used to buying big cars.
How much do you think to put half a tank of petrol in this thing? How much did it cost
55 dirhams.
25 dirhams got me half a tank.
So 50 dirhams full tank. Do you want to know what your full tank in a Ram is?
I don't want to know.
Ouch is the word for it.
50 dirhams, and that got me like major kilometers.
Ballpark figure?
I'm
400 something?
Yeah, over 400.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. Oh, I just want a cheap car again.
You see, and so and like I said, the guy who dropped it off and picked it up, he was just waxing away. He loved this vehicle, and he said the big selling point to him was it's got a 1.5 liter engine. It's a very small, tiny car.
Yeah.
This thing flies. It goes.
It's hard to make a small car that has zinginess in its nature.
It did definitely sound like a whippersnipper. So that's the only other side. It's like,
but you're sharing the highway, and it's a fine car.
Yep.
This is more for general commentary on the Middle East because you're sharing a car on the highway with lots of SUVs. How comfortable are you?
Yeah, I was okay. I didn't mind.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I did notice though. Not only is it a subcompact car and a small car, it's low.
Yeah.
It is low to the ground. And you noticed it when you were behind anything. That
just sniffing their tailpipes.
Yep, you were. You're behind some of these SUVs, just the stock things, a Fortuner, and you're going, man, this car's really low.
Yeah,
I'm almost looking
underneath. It's an arms race. Everybody has to have an SUV now because you need to see over all the other SUVs that are out
clearly.
there. And that's why I lifted my SUV so I can see over everybody else's one.
Yeah. So,
where does it end?
So I'm not running out to get a Spark. The guy who dropped it off would have it in a heartbeat. He loved it. He said this was his favorite car. So what can I say? There is a person that this car is for. There is, and it's got all the toys. It's got all the bells and whistles. Maybe it was just me.
I really wish they sold a Mazda 2 manual.
This was automatic. It would have been different.
I think that adds a lot of pep back to the experience. The trouble is nobody will buy it off you. I mean, you buy that car, you're first and last owner of these things. I mean, it should make sense. A cheap little hatchback, run around manual, but nobody buys them. Like nobody's gonna buy a manual Ram. Nobody's gonna manual anything. I mean, I think I'm gonna say it. Controversial. Stop me right now on message. Go ahead.
Motoring Middle East. Imtishan is here. If you're wondering who you're listening to, stop
Facebook,
the press.
YouTube. I'm gonna say manual gearboxes are dead. In Dubai.
You know what? I think you're right. We talk about wanting them. You had a manual gearbox in your Wrangler.
I still have a manual gearbox before you point fingers at. I just pointed a finger at you.
Where?
The DeLorean.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about the vehicle that you're driving as a daily beater.
I could drive the DeLorean daily. I mean, I wouldn't park it anywhere, or I'd smack people who come close to it. But apart from that, I really, really don't think manuals are going to be around much longer in Dubai.
All right, we got a couple questions we're going to get to. We want to hear from you. What do you think about manual transmissions? Would you buy one? Do you think they have any lifespan in them? I think we're nostalgic about them, but I don't think when push comes to shove, anyone's going to buy one, especially when they just think about making that trip to Sharjah or something on a
that's brutal
Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Brutal. They're not. Forget about the whole if I could, would I question. It's more a case of, well, do I even know how to? Who knows how to drive a manual now? Do you know how to drive a manual? Person listening,
absolutely.
Do you know how to drive a manual?
Okay.
When's the last time you drove one? In that case, what's the temptation to have one? Everybody just wants to have it easier. That's why we're rushing towards an autonomous future, right?
And it's coming faster than we think.
But you know what? I mean, I appreciated the automatic on my way back from Liwa, no question. And that level of engagement was good not to have off-road.
Imagine if it was autonomous. You might have been in the bed having a snooze.
But what happens if we get an autonomous off-roader?
Yeah, there we go. It's done.
It's coming. It's coming. Land Rover's working on it. It's coming.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to get involved in the program, we're talking about cars. We'd love to hear from you. We got texts coming up talking about tiny cars that we recommend. Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. And Volkswagen Beetle appears. There's a new one out. So that's coming up next right here on Car Talk with Motoring Middle East. We're talking cars. We're talking about what you're driving. It's Car Talk, if you're wondering what you've tuned into. And we got a great message from Sam that's come through. He says, gentlemen, good evening. He says, the other day I saw a new Volkswagen Beetle. Didn't even realize a new one was out. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the Beetle.
It's been out for a year now.
Isn't there a slightly new body design
Not
that
really.
they've crimped it a little bit? I like it.
Really.
I'd buy one. Absolutely. Yeah. I think they've taken away that big Beetle-y look that the 2 gens ago had, and they've given something that's a little more sporty looking.
Camp.
Yeah.
Dare I say, slightly more feminine Beetle has been replaced by something a little bit more manly. I hate to use those terms in a gender-specific way, but I do think it's a lot more butch now.
Yeah.
Has it made a difference to sales? I don't know. People like the camp girly Beetle. I like the camp girly Beetle. The Beetle Turbo was great fun, but now they're all turbos. They're basically Golf GTIs.
Yeah, I like the new one. I think it looks really cool. Really cool.
If they sold it with the manual gearbox, I might have bought one. I remember seeing one in the US and thinking, this could be my perfect car.
No, hold on a second. Didn't you say that something manual gearboxes?
How do you spell hypocrisy?
Yeah.
With 2 H's or 2 Y's?
Yeah. No.
You know what? If I lived in California, I lived by the beach and I surfed, which I can't because I can't even carry a surfboard. But if I did those things, I probably would like a Beetle convertible.
I'm surprised there aren't more Beetle convertibles here. I just don't get it. I mean, Volkswagen, good stable product. Okay, they had a few problems with their diesel thing.
There aren't that many convertibles here.
Yeah.
Convertibles as a whole are less popular, it seems, than when I bought my convertible almost 10 years ago, almost 9 years ago. Yeah. And even back then, I was one of the few people running around with my roof down. Contrary to what Shahzad is thinking right now, I did put my roof down, just not when he was there, because 2 men in a convertible, that's questionable. But when he wasn't there, I had the roof down always in the summer and the winter. But now, you just see everybody with convertibles, roofs up.
Roofs up. I don't. Why buy a convertible?
Surfs up, and so is their roof.
I'm not quite sure why people buy convertibles. So.
Because they like having options. It's like
they never use it though.
It's like buying a Wrangler and never going off-road. Well, if I ever go into the sand, I'll be fine. No, you won't, because you don't know what to do when you get into the sand.
Yeah. All right. So Sam, short and sweet. Just go check them out. Get one. They're a great ride.
They're a great car, even automatic. Yeah. They are good, comfortable cars. They're basically Golf GTI, and that was one of my favorite generations of Golf GTI.
There we go.
Yeah.
Another question that's come through and says, I want to get something small and cheap that I can use for desert drives. I was thinking of something like the Suzuki Jimny. Will it cut it? If not, any suggestions? Small,
Jimny's
cheap
good.
Desert.
However, Jimny is not necessarily straightforward to drive because you got to rev the bits off of it to get it anywhere. I mean, it is for the really more experienced driver. Jimnys are very good, but don't be fooled. The sort of locals you see driving around in it, they know what they're doing. They've grown up with these cars. They know its capabilities and its limitations. It's not a straightforward, easy car to drive. I would recommend buying a slightly older but slightly bigger SUV. Because small cars tend to be very light. So you're looking at maybe a Wrangler TJ, that's like a 2006 Wrangler, that's pretty cheap. You're looking at a Nissan Pathfinder 2005, something with a 6-cylinder engine that you won't feel too bad about if you smash the bumper head first going down a dune. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You buy a brand new shiny car, you're going to feel awful when something happens. And it does. It's the desert.
Yeah.
Things happen to it. Live with that, and it's not easy to accept. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of options out there. The best car I recommend for starters, if it's a car that you're going to keep and not chop out after a while, as much as I love the Wrangler, I would say the best car, mid-2000s Prado. 3-door if you can find one, almost impossible because all of them have been bought up and kept for people. The 5-door is fine. Very, very stable, very sturdy car, good power-to-weight ratio, and pretty easy to drive. And not so easy to roll.
There you go. Okay. So the Jimny, while nice, you're really not going to be taking that in the desert.
You can.
But
you'd have more fun with something with more power.
Yeah. Okay. And a response to why people are not driving
They're
manuals.
not.
It says people buy manuals here because of the desert. Don't forget that. But they're all trucks and SUVs. Maybe not for the roads, but a lot of people think that they want a manual, I guess it goes.
You know what? That's kind of old thinking.
Yeah.
Because when I started off-roading, lots of people had manuals. Today, and I was on that fun drive, 800 cars, I guarantee you less than 2% were manuals.
Oh,
Everybody's driving autos. You know why? Because autos are easier off-road. Uninterrupted supply of power. I mean, you've driven an automatic
Yeah.
off-road. What do
Yeah.
you think? Would you go back to a manual off-road?
Yes.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I prefer to have the manual off-road.
That's just contradicting me for no reason.
I know. I'm not the I'm a novice off-roader. I mean, it was nice to have the automatic because you just didn't have to worry about anything. And sometimes that shifting down when you're going up something, you need to get that good power, and then
Timing.
the timing. If you don't have the timing right,
crunch.
Many a time I had a timing issue, and I had to back down and do it again. So
Is something happens at your age, or the timing issues?
But I think I enjoyed driving my manual in the
Yeah,
desert
for sure.
more than I enjoy driving the automatic.
But when you do something like Liwa and you're doing some seriously
Yeah.
big dunes and you're
it's one less thing to think about. Then you can keep your eyes on everything else.
you focus on your line.
Yeah.
The beginning, it's just one more thing to juggle the manuals, and I love them. I mean, the one great thing about a manual, the one thing, unassailable advantage is that a manual can never get stuck.
Yeah.
Because you can always rock your way out of the manual. Having said that, all the latest generation have driver aids.
There you go. It's easy.
Easy.
Shabib sent through a question about his Audi A6. You know what, Shabib? I'm gonna keep the question for tomorrow. So we'll get it tomorrow when Glenn Power's here from CarPro, and we'll walk through this. And he actually used to work for Volkswagen Audi back in the UK, so this might be an easy question for him to get to. And we'll walk through that tomorrow. Make that really easy for you. Another one, Partha has come through and says, only sissy men say the manual gear shifts are out of fashion. I'm dying to buy a manual here. So he's got to go and get a Volkswagen maybe, or a...
You know what? I'm going to take Partha on right now. Right here,
Says
right now.
he's saying you're a sissy.
You know what? This is the problem we have as a journalist. Every time we go out there and say, manufacturers, bring manual cars. And we tell them manufacturers, like, they don't sell. They keep saying us, they don't sell. And we say, no, they do sell. The enthusiasts will buy them. And then they bring the cars here with our encouragement, and the cars don't sell.
And then they say, motoring Middle East, your fault.
You have no idea what you're talking about, motoring Middle East. And that's the real problem. I'm like, okay, fine, Partha. You say they're out of fashion, buy a manual, go and buy one. You can buy a brand new one in so many cars. You can buy it in a Challenger. You can buy it in a Focus ST. You can buy it in an 86 WRX. You can buy it in a Land Cruiser. You can buy it in a Patrol. But why aren't people buying these cars? And second-hand doesn't count. Because if you buy a car second-hand when it's cheap, that doesn't register as a sale to a manufacturer.
Yeah, okay, I hear you.
You know?
Yeah.
It's got to be a new car, because then they're like, okay, these cars are selling. Otherwise, if they're not selling, they won't bring them.
I'd love to have the manual transmission when I know there's going to be no traffic. But if it's...
Well, that's a bit of a fool's errand, isn't it?
But if I'm heading down to Karama, maybe going to check out the Isuzus.
I drove manual through Karama, and it's horrible. You are absolutely right.
So that's my only thing. Rupert's come through and says, personally, I love a manual transmission. I have a 2002 diesel Nissan Patrol. Imagine that. That'd be a nice ride. And if I have any complaints, it's that it's underpowered. But I love the stick shift.
The Nissan Patrol is very unusual in that it has a hydraulic power-actuated clutch. So it feels like no other car, in my opinion, to drive as a manual. And it has a very nice shift. It is very agricultural, but that's part of the appeal of the old Patrol. The diesel is slow, but I don't know if it's as slow as the old 4.5 Patrol, which was a non-accelerating car. The 4.8, which is the one the locals love, they call it the Fitex, quite endearingly. That 4.8 liter engine, it's a monster. People use it to climb every dune. It only makes as much power as a 3.6 Wrangler.
Really?
Yep, same amount of power.
Interesting.
So these are big, heavy cars with big, thirsty engines, and a Wrangler will run rings around it for performance up and down hills.
There you go.
But I like driving them. They're fun cars, Patrols.
I love the look of the Patrol. It's the
Iconic
lines.
is the word.
Yeah, iconic. Yeah, and especially if it's got that red velour seating in it. Oh,
red velour seating?
Yeah.
When did they have red velour seats?
They did at one
In
point.
the 80s, in the 90s, they had red velour seats.
That's what I'm talking about. The quality.
Did they have buttons on the seats?
I'm sure they did. Who's got a Patrol from that era? I'm sure they did. Those were real cars.
Those were boxy cars.
Yeah.
Drawn by a ruler.
Sam has come through again, and he says, I have a manual license. Back in 2004, men almost always went for the manual license. Women went for the automatic. No disrespect meant to anyone, but he says, the last time I drove a manual was in 2014. My company had a manual Nissan Urvan, which I drove a few times for fun, but with today's traffic, manuals are out.
And this is what I'm saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Manuals are, their day is done. The time in the sun is over. Just forget about it, guys. Stop trying to live in the past. I mean, I love manuals and I have one, but nobody's buying them.
We got someone who wants you to teach them how to drive off road. We got a whole bunch more questions coming as well. So don't move. This is this is a great show. I'm having a lot of fun, Imtishan. This is Cartalk, and we got Motoring Middle East in the house. You want to get involved? You got questions? Have a chat with us. Cartalk. Imtishan's here from Motoring Middle East. A great question that's come through. Says, good evening, gents. Suggestions, please. I have 200,000 dirhams to spend on a new or used car, which meets the following 3 criteria. 1, it should have 4 seats. 2, it should fit 6 foot 3 inch guy who's 250 pounds. And 3, it should be awesome. Slight editing there.
Yes, that word cannot be said on the radio,
Yeah.
but I understand his
SK,
appeal.
yeah.
It's easy enough. Slightly used Raptor.
Really?
Yeah, Raptor is a pretty wide. They'll fit anybody. It has 4 seats, and it'll fit a 6'3" guy, no problem. And it is unquestionably cool.
I was thinking
Pickups.
car. I wasn't even thinking pickup. I didn't even go down that route.
It could be pickup because I have a pickup, so all I see is pickups
that
now.
Raptor would be.
A Raptor would be nuts. Otherwise, it's a whole lot of options. Yeah. Charger's good. Grand Cherokee SRT8 maybe, slightly used. I was looking at
anything over the Mazda stable that you might.
nothing that's
that thing's gonna be
demonically cool. Challengers fit anybody. Challengers are very, very comfortable.
What
large
about
car.
Mercedes?
Not for 200k.
No.
Not for 200k would be the low end of the scale. That's for anything German basically.
Hyundai Genesis?
No.
No. Okay.
Not even on the same planet.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, you're stuck with American stuff because they have they accommodate well proportioned people.
I want to say a nice Mustang, but I don't know. I'm not.
No,
so
I
sure.
wouldn't fit 6'3".
Okay.
6'3", yes. 250 pounds, no. Same for Land Cruisers. I mean, they're fine, but they're not what I would call heroically cool. They're very, very capable.
So you'd go for a Raptor pickup truck, and if you were going something
Charger SRT8.
There we go.
Maybe Scat Pack. Hellcat. Oh wait, you can't get one of those for 200k. 300k, yes.
Okay. So SRT.
Yeah.
Charger. Okay. Done. Sorted. Let us know which one you buy. Another one that's come through from LS says, I heard that the LR4 will be totally new model in 2017, 2018. Is this true?
He is true. In fact, he's so true the LR4 no longer exists. It's actually going back to its old name of being called the Discovery. So the new Discovery is the new LR4, and it is all new based on the Range Rover platform, and it is basically a big Discovery Sport. And that's all I can really say about it because we haven't driven it yet. I think the launch is coming up pretty soon. I expect it'll be good. All Land Rovers are good. I expect it'll be expensive because all Land Rovers are expensive. Yeah. But they'll be nice.
Saw Land Rover today at the service center getting the air suspension worked on. And
that never happens to Land Rovers. They never have problems with air suspension.
What was interesting, and as I was trying to figure out what the guy was actually doing, because he was spending a lot of time, the mechanic, looking at it
was
appears...
he draining the happy fluid out? Or?
I don't know. It appears that they weren't going up equally. It wasn't an equal balance.
Oh, we had that problem actually years ago with the Prado, but yes.
Yeah. So I just thought...
How do you tell the car to behave itself?
Beautiful car, though. Man, it was a beautiful car.
It's leaning a bit.
It was a beautiful car, though.
I love Range Rover. Was it Range Rover or Discovery?
No, it was a Range Rover.
Oh, I still love them. I don't care. Fix it.
Beautiful.
Fix it.
Brendan's come through and says, I miss the Chrysler PT Cruiser. He says, where are they now? Why don't they make them anymore? Could you share your thoughts on that car? I love the PT Cruiser.
Yeah, not many people did, though. People thought they were ugly and
PT
camp
Cruiser
and chintzy
convertible. PT Cruiser convertible. Oh, what a car!
You know, there's a PT Cruiser Turbo, if I'm not mistaken. That was a car that I wanted very, very badly. The PT Cruiser Turbo. Assuming I'm not dreaming this thing up, but I'm pretty sure there was one. But I liked PT Cruisers. I thought they were cool. Yeah. Nobody else did. Shazad and me are the PT Cruiser fan club of UAE.
Yeah. See, I would join that fan club. I love the PT
like
Cruisers,
retro style cars.
I thought they were great.
But they don't exist anymore because I think Chrysler sold a lot of them, and then that was it.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a PT Cruiser GT, 2.4 turbo.
That's it. There we go.
Yeah.
Mitsubishi Montero Sport 2016 year model. Is that good in the sand? Do you think?
It's okay. I would probably fit like some skid plates or what we call bash plates to them to protect the bumper because they tend to scoop up sand. So especially the rear bumper, it's like a big sand scoop and then it just comes right off. Yeah, so if you put a little bumper metal bit underneath some fabrication, it'll act as a truss and hold it. Just go to a garage like Rage Performance or whatever and ask them to do it. They'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, perfect. We got another Nazia has come through and says, I have a Volvo S60 planning to go for a Volvo XC90 7-seat and second-hand. What do you think? Or should I go for a Honda MRV?
If you like the Volvo that you already had, why not stay in the brand? MRVs are fine, nothing particularly bad to say about them or exceptional. But the Volvos are nice, and the XCs, 90s are really, really nice cars. And they're really good resale. Sorry, did I say I mean really awful resale value? But on the other hand, that works out for you well as a second-hand buyer, right?
Yeah. I saw a Volvo today, and it was the sedan, brand new.
The new one, S90.
Yes.
What a stunner.
I had to take a second look.
What a stunner.
I was taken aback. I didn't see the front of it, but from the back, wow. It really, I couldn't stop looking at it.
Wanted a Volvo as much as I want.
I couldn't stop looking at this car.
The current Volvos, XC90 in particular, I'm like, I want these cars. I want one. And I'm like, I don't even have a family. What would I do with this car?
So it has the normal, the S90 badge on it, and then on the right-hand side, there's some other badging. I have no idea. It must have the sports pack or something on it.
It's probably something nice. They don't have a Polestar version yet, as far as I know.
Man,
but they're such nice.
It's beautiful
I don't think
looking
they're
car.
exceptional cars to drive. The one thing we should be fair. They're beautiful inside and out. Everything about them is stunning and high-end luxury. But I don't think they're exceptional to drive. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And it just, it just said Volvo. You looked at it and you went, yeah, it's Volvo. And then as I was staring at this thing for, over 10 minutes, I'm going,
because it's like a piece of sculptural architecture.
I looked at it so long, Imtishan. I looked at it so long. I could almost see a 20-year-old Volvo inspired in there. Yeah. And I'm going, exactly. It is a Volvo. Beautiful. I want one.
It's one of the, I look at all
seen it from the front.
The Germans, Mercedes, BMW, Audi. Right now, none of them make beautiful cars. Yeah. None of them make you go, take a second look or a third look. But that Volvo, every time you get out of it, you'd be like, that's a stunner.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a Volvo.
Yeah, it's a Volvo.
How did that happen?
I don't know what they did. The last question, but last but not least, does a hybrid car engine, will it give you problems in the future?
No. The answer is no. There's some misconception. We did a bunch of videos on Motor Middle East with the new Prius. And we spend most of our time with the Prius answering negative feedback from people who had clearly never driven one.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the Prius. The engine didn't break down. The car is ferociously complicated, yet incredibly reliable.
Yeah.
And they will continue to be reliable because hybrids are now technology been around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
All the kinks have been worked out. The batteries will not go bad. Listen, people, you can buy one out of confidence. Whether you want to buy one is a decision only you can make.
I like the look of the new Prius. I think they've.
You are alone there.
I thought it really looked cool, and I know a lot of people are kind of going, awful. No. I loved it.
That's my one demerit. Not the greatest looking car in the world.
See, that's the thing. I thought they finally got
drive,
it.
Though.
They finally got it sorted out. It looks awesome. Yeah.
Well, you won't mistake it for anything else.
That's exactly it. Imtishan, we've run out of time. We gotta close up the old car pen, and we'll do it all again next week, same place, same time.
Inshallah.
Motoring Middle East is where you can find Imtishan and Shazad, by the way, and they've got the website's going strong. But you know what? Head over to YouTube, Motoring Middle East.
YouTube is where you get our freshest, newest stuff.
Watch their videos because entertaining and educational.
We just did a series on the new Camaro, which is a hoot because I get to dress up in 70s clothes.
Yes, I wondered actually if you guys were selling clothes as well, if you'd gone into the
I wish we'd been worked out for the tailor because he made a nice pretty packet off of our efforts. Yeah. And I also get to wear a Carlton mustache, as in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Carlton mustache.
Nice. So go check them out on motoringme.com is their website. Go check them out on YouTube. Go check out their social media. I mean, essentially, if you want information, entertainment, and education about cars in the Middle East and beyond, Motoring Middle East is your one-stop shop. And hey, these guys join us every week on the radio. I can't beat that. Imtishan, see you next week.
Glad to help.